couple of housekeeping things. First off, again, this is Instagram for business. If you're looking to use it personally, I'm not going to have a ton of helpful stuff here for you. It's really for businesses and nonprofits and organizations, those that are using it more professionally. If you have never been to a Zoom webinar before, only I am on camera and on audio. But nice for you guys. You can kick back and relax and take in the workshop. But if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask them. This is a workshop, not a lecture. I'm happy to stop and answer questions at any time. I can pull stuff up on my computer. As I was setting up at the beginning of this, I can pull stuff up on my phone so you can see how it looks on the mobile app. The ways you can ask questions are by using either the chat or the Q&A functions. You can find those if you either hover over the top or the bottom of your screen, depending on what kind of device you're on. Please feel free to use either. I have them both up on my second monitor here, so I can see both your questions and any comments you leave. Again, please feel free to use those at any time. This is really here for you. I would really like to hear from you in the audience. Please go ahead and use the chat. Let me know what your name is, what business you have, if you're comfortable sharing, and what your skill level is with Instagram. How familiar are you with it? The chat does default to sending messages only to me. So if you would like to chat with everybody else in the chat at the same time, please feel free to toggle that to option to everyone. Like I said, it defaults to hosts and panelists. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop and ask them at any time. I'm going to move my face up a little bit higher. So Instagram is one of the most popular social media platforms in anywhere. It has over 1 billion monthly active users. Active means that it's not just people who have an account, people have logged in and used Instagram within the last month to be included in that number. That's 3 times the active users of Twitter. Instagram has definitely grown pretty rapidly over the last few years. This statistic is a little old, so it might be a bit different, but 500 million and more are active every single day. So Instagram sees a lot of return traffic. It is the 3rd largest social media site in the US overall after Facebook and YouTube, though I will say TikTok is sticking up there pretty quickly, but we're not going to talk about that today. The average user went from spending 29 minutes per day on Instagram in 2017 to 53 minutes. It says today, but I think that statistic is from 2019. The numbers were starting to drop a bit in 2019, but then quarantine happened and everybody jumped back on their phones really fast. So the numbers, I don't have the numbers for 2021 yet, but I guarantee you they're pretty high still. People are spending a lot of time on the very visual app. And the important thing about Instagram versus, the one we talked about last week, Facebook, is it's very popular among a younger audience. 71% of Americans aged 25 to 34 use Instagram. It's currently the largest group. There's still plenty of older folks as well, and even some younger folks. 69% of Instagram users are under the age of 35. If you are looking to tap into the market that are growing professionally, that have disposable income, and that are actively buying things, Instagram is really where you need to be. I feel like a lot of younger folks do have a Facebook, but they don't use it anywhere near as often as Instagram. 72% of users on Instagram have said they have purchased a product they saw on the app. So that means they are engaged users and they do actually buy things that they see there, whether that is through Instagram itself or following the link in your description to go buy directly from you. People are actually purchasing things they see on Instagram. So a little bit about Instagram if you're not familiar with it. The trickiest thing, I think, for new users to grasp is Instagram is an app, not a website. So what that means is, unlike pretty much all of the other social media platforms where you can absolutely have full functionality on their website by going to whatever it is.com, Instagram is app-centric. You really need to download the app onto a phone or mobile device in order to properly use it. On the desktop version, if you go to Instagram.com, you really can only look at posts, like them, and interact and comment on them. You cannot make your own posts on Instagram. So if you go in ahead and set up an Instagram account and you can't figure out why it's not working, that might be why. Make sure you download the app, and feel free to do it now so that you can kind of poke along as we're going through this workshop, if you haven't already. Instagram is photocentric. You cannot make a post without an image. Facebook, you do have the option. You can do text posts or image posts or video posts or whatever. But Instagram, you have to have some sort of graphic in order to make a post at all. You cannot post from a desktop computer, correct? There are ways around that, and I will get into talking about that in a little bit. But if you just go to Instagram.com, you cannot post from a desktop computer. I'll show you some ways to get around that in a bit. So that being said, while it is photocentric, it absolutely is pushing video pretty hard, especially, again, I'll reference it a couple of times. TikTok is scaring all of the big giants. The numbers are going up pretty highly. So they really like when you post video as well. The trick with Instagram is that it's pretty short video. It's under a minute. You can post longer videos, but then that kind of gets shunted off onto IGTV. So pretty short videos. Most videos are about 15 to 30 seconds, but feel free to take a quick video and get those engagement numbers up as well. Of all of the social media platforms you could use, Instagram really has the highest engagement rates. So that means people aren't just kind of passively scrolling Instagram. They are actively clicking on things, liking things, commenting on things, sharing it with their friends. People use Instagram in an engaged way, which can be really good for you if you feel like on Facebook, you're just sort of shouting into the void and people are looking at your post, but nothing's really happening. If you need to ever run ads, they have the same highly intuitive ad platform as Facebook. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so the systems are the same. If you came to my intro to Facebook class, you'll know I genuinely like Facebook's ad system. It's very easy to use, very easy to navigate, and it really helps you target who's actually going to be beneficial for your reach. And with Instagram, more than any other, I did talk about how quality over quantity in the Facebook class, but Instagram especially, quality is everything. Instagram has been around long enough and is established enough that the quick and dirty, amateur, grainy, not very well framed, kind of blurry pictures are not really doing well on Instagram. People on Instagram expect a certain level of quality, clear pictures, nice aesthetic shots. The aesthetic is everything on Instagram. People want to look at pretty things. So if you're going to be posting on Instagram, make sure you slow down and take the time to get a good picture of whatever it is you're talking about. Don't rush it out. Facebook, it's pretty common for people and organizations to post like once a day or several times a day. But even the big brands like Coca-Cola, they post on Instagram maybe 3 times a week. So they're posting a lot less frequently, but it is higher quality stuff. So make sure you are following the same kind of strategy. So to set up an account, I took screenshots of my phone here. You can set up your account on the desktop version, I do believe. You can either log in by your Facebook account, because again, they are connected, or you can set up with a mobile number or email. I tend to do that kind of a setup. That way it's not necessarily connected to me. Because if I ever move on from the job, or if you ever hire somebody else to do it for you, they're not going to have access to your personal Facebook account, but you can pretty easily give them the login information. If you ever have another employee helping you with your Instagram, or you hire an outside firm, unlike Facebook, where you can just add admins to the page to have other people help you manage it, with Instagram, you have to have the login. You can't create multiple accounts with access to that account. You have to log into that account to do anything. So I would recommend setting up the mobile number or email as the login rather than logging in with Facebook. And so you go and fill that information out. full name, it doesn't have to be your name. You can put your business name in that field as well. For the profile picture, it's, it's on every single post you make, but it's also super tiny on that screen. So it needs to be easily discernible at a small distance. It's about 320 by 320 pixels, which is like a fraction of an inch. It's very, very small. So profile pictures are really important. You should almost never change them. If you think about it in real life, if you've ever had a drastically different haircut, how long it took people to recognize you were you. Same thing with profile pictures. If every time you change them, it's like you've started an all new account, people aren't going to recognize you for a while. So whatever you set up as your profile picture, make sure it stays that. And in my opinion, your best bet is your logo. If you have one, if it's nice, clean, clear, and simple. If you don't have a logo, if you're a very service-based business and you are the face of the business, it's great to use your face, or you can use like a key product, something like that, but something that's easily discernible at a distance and it's not super complicated and hard to read. Your bio is really important. This is when people go to your Instagram page, they can see who you are and what you're about. There is a 150 character limit. This is very, very small. This is like a sentence, maybe two. You can use emojis. Emojis can get across a lot of information very quickly, but you really should be talking about, super quick intro to who your business is and what kind of content you're going to be posting. The bio, if you set up a business account, which we're going to be talking about, is also the only clickable link on your entire Instagram presence. You cannot put links in in individual posts. They are not clickable. They will just be sitting there as unclickable text. And so anybody would have to copy and paste it. And frankly, that's just too much work for most people. So you really can't put links anywhere else but the one in your bio. So because that one in your bio is so important, don't be afraid to change it often. If you make a post talking about a specific service or event or product, make sure you change that link in your bio to link directly to that thing. And then next time you need to use it, you can switch it back. If it's been a while and you don't need it for anything specific, you can switch it to just your generic URL for your website. Take Seabiscuit Bakeries right now. They just moved to the Mukilteo coffee roaster facility in Langley. So their bio right now is linked to the specific coming soon page where they talk about the move rather than their page as a whole. So don't be afraid to switch that link pretty regularly. All right. Once you have your account set up, make sure you convert it to a business account. So how you do this is you go to your personal feed by clicking on your little icon in the very far corner. So as you can see, I've got the little home icon, I've got the search icon, I've got the post icon, the favorites, and then my picture over here is my icon. So I click on that, it takes me to my feed. Then I click on these three lines in the top corner. This might look slightly different. This is from an Android phone. If you have an iPhone, these might be in slightly different places, but the icons are the same. So you click on these three lines and it pops this little side panel out with information. You're going to go down to settings, and then you're going to go into account. Then you're going to click switch to business account. Now, a very important thing is, in order to have a business account on Instagram, you have to have a business Facebook page. That is how they verify that you are an actual organization. Creating a business page on Facebook is free and very easy. We went over that last week, and you can find that video on our YouTube channel if you need it. But it's very important that you have a Facebook account for your business Facebook page. That way you can switch to business account, because a lot of things we're going to be talking about today, a lot of the options and tools that are there to help you are only available to business accounts, not personal profiles. So make sure you make this switch. When you switch to a business account, it does give you the option of being like a business or organization or a, I don't remember what the term they use is, but it basically a influencer. you are going to be a business account, not an influencer. Influencers are individuals who basically build a business around their personality, not an actual like product or service. So make sure you pick the right one, and then it'll have you log into Facebook, and you have to be a business admin on your Facebook page in order for it to go through correctly. If you do not have control of your Facebook page, make sure you get whoever does have the control to either add you as an admin or make them set up the Instagram account and then give you the login information. So let's go break it down a little bit more into the posts. If you're not familiar with Instagram, again, they're very visual centric. And this is the layout from the desktop version. When you actually click into a post, you'll get the image and then the sidebar with the comment and all the comments, the caption and all the comments on the side. If you're on a mobile, these will stay one on top of the other, and the image will always be first. So you've got your photo. This is world record egg. It was the most liked Instagram post for a very long time. It might still be, I haven't checked recently. Literally this account got started just because they wanted to have a more liked post than Kylie Jenner's post. The internet is full of very silly things. So you've got the image right there, big front and center. You've got the caption that'll either be beneath on a mobile device, or even just when you're scrolling down the main feed. That does get truncated after, I don't remember how many characters, 120, something like that. And then it'll go into ... read more. So make sure the most important stuff is at the beginning of your caption. Hashtags are super important. We're going to be talking more about hashtags in a couple of slides, but this is how people find your content. So make sure you're using hashtags. You got comments from other people underneath. You can, delete those. You can just leave them. You can reply to them. You can like individual comments as well. I took this screenshot back when likes were still showing. Nowadays, Instagram did a thing that, in my opinion, is very healthy. They hid the likes. So you can see how many people have liked your post, but if you are looking at someone else's post, the likes are not showing anymore. Instagram turned into a very not healthy place for young people. They were comparing themselves to other people constantly. They were basing a lot of their self-worth on likes compared to other posts and other people. So instead, it hid all of that. So you can't compare yourself to others anymore. You can still see your likes as a business page so that you can see what's working and what's not, but you can't compare yourself to others as easily anymore, which is a good thing. So mentioned earlier, hashtags are super vital, but what are they? So hashtag is the name for the symbol I have on the right side of the screen here, formerly known as the pound sign. A hashtag is a word or phrase made up of letters and numbers written together without space or punctuation. Any word, any phrase can be it, as long as you don't have any punctuation in there and no spaces. As soon as you add a space or a punctuation, it cuts off the hashtag and it's only everything before that. Hashtags function as a site-wide search term. So anybody on Instagram can type in a hashtag, or they can click on a hashtag and they'll get a list of, usually it defaults to the most popular recent posts using that hashtag. You can follow hashtags. So not only following people and getting that content on your feed, but you can also follow hashtags so that even if you don't follow a person, if they use that hashtag, you will get their post on your feed. I do this for Goosefoot. I follow the hashtag Would Be Island because I want to know what else is going around on the island, even if it's not people that I follow specifically. You do not have to use existing ones. You absolutely can make up your own. You can turn your business name into a hashtag. You can use quirky and fun hashtags that aren't really actually good at searchable terms, just because like they're so specific or weird that no one would search for that, but it gives your post a little personality and flavor. You can use the most popular relevant hashtags to get more views. So there's a lot of tools online that can help you show what's the most popular hashtags right now. And you can use those if they fit the content of your post. If mac and cheese is currently trending and you make a post about shoes and tag it with mac and cheese, like that's not actually going to help you because you're not actually following the popular trend. You're just trying to insert yourself into a conversation you don't belong. People are going to get annoyed with you. They're going to ignore you. And it might actually damage your relationship with them in the future. So make sure you're sticking to relevant hashtags. But don't be afraid to get in on the fun if some viral trend is going on and you can tie into it pretty easily. You can use 10 to 30 hashtags in a post. Obviously, you could use 0, you could use 1 or 2, but the best practice is about 10 to 30. And you can get there pretty easily. For most Bayview Corner, I have an Instagram account for that. Pretty much every single post I always tag would be Island, would be Life, Bayview Corner, and Bayview Cash Store. There's 5 posts without, or 5 hashtags without actually getting into what the subject matter of the post is. And then I could add other posts like classes or outdoors or picnic or community events or community or fundraiser, whatever it is. I can add other hashtags as they're relevant. You can either incorporate the hashtags into the text itself. So you can say like, what a beautiful day on hashtag would be Island, sitting out here on the beach, whatever. You can add them at the end of the post. That's how the World Record Egg used it. They have them right there at the end. Hashtag like the egg, egg soldiers, egg gang. So it's not actually in the body of the text, but it's just following at the end. Or you can even put them in a comment below. That way the post is still searchable, but it's not actually clogging up the caption. This is really great if you automatically share your posts to Facebook, because Facebook doesn't do hashtags as much as Instagram. Your engagement actually declines if you put hashtags on your Facebook posts, but you can put them in a comment on Instagram and then that's still searchable, but it's not interfering with the look of your comment or messing up when you share it to another platform. So it does not matter where you put them. The site will treat them all the same. So don't be afraid to put it wherever makes you comfortable, whatever makes sense to you. So how do you find good hashtags though? You can browse in the hashtags you can think of and check posts for related hashtags. Other people using a hashtag you want to use will have thought of hashtags. And so when you look at these other posts and see what other hashtags they used, you can be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Can you use fewer than 10 hashtags? Absolutely. You can use as many or as few as you want. I was just saying the best practice is 10 to 30. But if you want to use 0 hashtags, if you want to use like 1 or 2, that's fine. Just do whatever makes sense for you. So yeah, check other posts to see if you can find related hashtags that you might want to crib. You can honestly just Google search popular hashtags and it'll give you a list of what's popular right now. You can see what your followers are using. So you can go check who follows you and what kind of posts they're making. Because if they're following you, they clearly like your content. So if you use hashtags that they're using, you will hopefully be able to reach other people that are like them. You can also use hashtags that your competitors are using. So go check out people who are in a similar industry to you, see what they're kind of using on their posts, and see what makes sense for you to use as well, so that you can reach their audiences too. Also on Instagram itself, when you start searching for a hashtag, it actually gives you suggested hashtags that are similar. So if you type in hashtag would be, it'll give you would be island, would be life, would be flowerworks, would be island grown. And it'll show you how many posts there are existing in that category. This screenshot is several years old, so these numbers are going to be very different nowadays. And so you can see like, oh, I was going to hashtag this would be, but hashtag would be island is actually way more popular, both in posts, which means that more people are looking at that hashtag as well. So I'm going to use hashtag would be island instead, but I could also use hashtag would be if I wanted to. So I like the search that shows you what's currently popular, what's doing well. So some content tips. Put a face on your brand. We as human beings do not trust companies. We've been burned way too many times. We trust other human beings. The benefit that you as a small business has over giant corporations is you are a person. Like, yeah, you run a business, but you are an individual and people can like and trust and know you. So don't be afraid to let your personality shine, or even if you're a big enough business where you have a few, employees, people we work with, your business still has a personality. You're not just a sterile bunch of products sitting in a room. There's something different about how your business operates to other businesses around them. If I walk into Prima Bistro in Langley, I'm going to get a very different feel than if I walk into Spy Hop. Not saying one of them is better than the other. They both just have very distinct personalities. So let that personality shine through the pictures you choose, the way you word your content, the kind of hashtags you use, the way you interact with people. Don't keep it dry and boring and sterile, because people don't respond to that. People respond to other human beings, other personalities. So, make sure you let that real person shine through. Make sure you are providing value and showing appreciation to your followers. If you are posting just to post, you are not going to see very much return, because that's when you start to get into boring stuff that's just more noise. And we all have so much coming at us all the time, every day, constantly. It just gets so much. But if your content is valuable, either it's how-tos, it's just entertaining, because people do use social media platforms for escapism. If you're giving them insider information, anything like that. People love to know how things are made. People love to know what's going on. They like the hot gossip. So whatever makes sense for you, don't be afraid to, and actually you should show followers that you appreciate them, you know their time is valuable, and so you're only taking it up with things that they really want and need. You can use stories to spark a call to action. So I'll talk more about stories in a bit, but stories are content that only stays up for 24 hours and then it goes away. Stories kind of tap into that part of the brain where the fear of missing out lives. And so that content is only going to be there for a limited amount of time. So you're more likely to actually act on it. If I find out that my favorite store got a new book in, cool, I'll be buying a bit. But if I see a story that, the author of that book is going to be there today at 2, well, then I got to go there today at 2 or I'm going to miss it. So if you want people to take action right now, rather than something they just sort of lock into their brains and maybe come back to, don't be afraid to pop into a story. As I talked about much earlier, you absolutely can use Instagram to boost sales. People do buy things that they see on Instagram. However, that does not mean it is an ad platform. It is still a social media platform. People go there to be social. They just might also see something that they really like and have to tell all their friends about while they're there. So if you're going to sell products, you absolutely can do that on Instagram, but make sure you are doing it in a way, again, second point, that provides value and shows appreciation to your followers for their time and attention. Make sure you tell interesting stories. Stories are what drive everything online. People want to know your story. How did you get into the business? Why are you doing this instead of working for someone else that does something similar? What's the story of your product or your service? How is it made? What goes into it? What's the story behind the people who actually make it? What's the story of the people who work regularly with you, or your neighbors or other businesses that you work with? Tell those stories, because stories are everything. At the end of the day, we are all stories. So, share that information, share those stories through the images you show over time, the words you put in the captions. If you tell those stories, you'll get people coming back for more stories. Don't be afraid to go live. Instagram gives you an option. If you swipe right when you're, if you swipe right when you're on the homepage, it'll give you the posting stuff. But if you switch options, it'll give you going live. That is live video. You are recording yourself talking and it's airing live. Trust me, it can be terrifying. I'm pretty relaxed right now because I have been teaching these classes for a while. But I think the first time I taught one of these classes online where I knew I wasn't going to be seeing people responding to me and I wasn't going to be able to adjust to how people were reacting in front of me, I probably spent the first hour or so anxiously pacing my entire apartment, which is not that big. It takes practice. It takes doing it repeatedly. And it takes knowing it is okay if you screw up because people respond to you being genuine. Nobody is good at everything all the time. We all have little flops and foibles. I don't know if you guys have clocked it, but I have misspoken multiple times during this workshop. I've read or said the wrong word. And it's okay because I didn't linger on it. It just happens. We all know it. I'm a human being. You guys are too. So just keep moving. But going live, for one, helps you put that face on your brand. They get to see you and get to hear more about you. But it also gives you an automatic boost. Instagram alerts everybody following you that you're currently live. It doesn't do that for any other kind of content you put online. But if you go live, you can get people's attention pretty immediately. And there's a number of things you could do when you go live. I'll talk about this more in our video workshop that's coming up in December. But you can go live when you get a new product in and you're excited to show it off. You can go live to show off a tip or tool. You can go live just to share your thoughts on a subject, pretty much anything. There's really no rules. You know what'll work for your business and your audience and what won't, but consider going live. It doesn't have to be very long. It can be, a minute and a half. It can be 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. During the last administration, politicians were using the go live function more frequently. A couple of them did very well building their brands on going live and reading and discussing the contents of bills as it came to them. So it is a great way to reach a lot of people. Don't be afraid to build connections, both with potential customers. If anybody interacts with you, you should absolutely interact back. Reply to messages, reply to comments, answer questions, thank them for giving you kudos, anything like that. But it's also a great tool to reach out to other people that you would like to have a professional connection with. If you work in any sort of industry where there's conferences, you can reach out to presenters ahead of time, other businesses you admire, get tips and tricks from them. Obviously, some people won't be willing to share with you, but most people would. Think about it in your life. If somebody came to you and was like, I am a really big fan of your business and how you do things. Do you have any advice for me? You'd probably be flattered and you'd be like, yeah, I have, don't do these things. I learned that the hard way, save yourself, or do these things. I didn't think about it, but it would have been really helpful for me. Most business owners are like that. They're willing to help. So building that connection with them is a really great way. So then when you get eventually to meet them in person, instead of being like, hi, I'm a stranger, you can be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I've been talking to you on Instagram for ages. You're automatically going to be one step higher for people you really want to build connections with. But also even locally with other businesses, it is really good to cross promote each other. Talk about your favorite place to go get coffee, or where your clients go after they're done seeing you, or fun things to do on the weekend, or what events are coming up. A rising tide lifts all ships, and that's very true for a community like ours on Whidbey Island. The more you're willing to talk up other people, the more it's going to help yourself as well. So, that connection makes us all much stronger. And make sure you stay up to date with trends. Pretty much all social media, but Instagram especially, trends change pretty quickly. What people are talking about, how they like to frame their shots, whether or not they're using filters and what the current favorite filter is. All of this stuff comes and goes pretty regularly. And obviously you should always be true to yourself. Don't just be a trend chaser. That's going to be disastrous for you, because you're never going to be the top of the thing. But don't be talking about things or talk in a way or making pictures that people aren't responding to anymore. If you're starting to get less feedback, less response, might be worth spending some of your time. Take a couple hours out of your day to actually go and look around the platform and see, what people are doing, what you could be doing better. things are changing constantly. Even me who teaches these classes, I take other people's classes on Instagram all the time. Because even if I know I'm probably going to know most of what they're talking about already, there's always one or two nuggets that I go, oh, that's a good idea. I should share that with other people or do it myself. So give yourself time to explore the site and see how other people are using it and to improve your skills. All right. So stories, I mentioned these briefly earlier. They are posts that stick around only for 24 hours and they get their own feed separate from your regular feed. So let's actually go look at Instagram right now. My face is in the way. So if I go to Instagram.com, here's my regular feed that you guys have probably all seen. Again, somebody's icon, picture, caption, comments, blah, blah, blah. But up here, right at the top, these are all the people who have stories currently going on. So I click on them, this rainbow ring around them shows me they have a story. And these are posts. Again, you can see they only stick around for about 15 seconds before they transition to a different post. And in 24 hours, this won't be anywhere I can access. I won't be able to see it anymore. So it's important to check them pretty regularly so I'm up to date on the information. And it's right there, brilliant at the top. And so you can get it from here, but get my faces in the way. Even if I'm looking, say, at my notifications, if anybody has a story, the ring will be around them here as well. So you can see it on your notifications page. You can see it on your comments. It draws attention to itself. So stories are a pretty fun tool, but again, they're only around for 24 hours. So because of that, they're really good for rapid fire or throwaway images. If you took a bunch of pictures of something, you have, a new product line coming in, something like that, or you got pictures that show off your excitement, but aren't necessarily the top quality you would want to post on Instagram, go ahead and pop them in the stories. Story quality is usually much lower than regular post quality because it's only going to be around for 24 hours. So who cares? It's not going to affect how people look at your brand over time. Again, as you saw, it stays at the top and it is more obviously visible than regular posts. You can also, when you're putting up a story, you can add polls and questions for instant feedback. So, say you run a farm and you got a new baby animal, take a picture of it, post a poll up asking people what you should name it. Or if you're wondering, should we order this in blue or purple? Ask Instagram and see what people say. It's a great way to get engagement, but also just a quick, silly way for you to get some feedback from your audience. To make a story, you can click, if you're on your main feed, click on your own icon or swipe right and you'll get the story option so that you can post content. When you open up stories, you have 4 options. You can do live videos, which we talked about earlier. It means you are currently live. You can do a normal story, which is an image post. You can put stickers, filters, all sorts of stuff on it. But it's an image post. You can do a boomerang, which is a short video clip that goes forward and backwards. So most video clips do loop. So it goes from the start, it goes to the end, and it starts over at the start again, it goes back. Boomerang videos actually go forward and back like a boomerang. Those can be fun, like visually interesting, nice, short little clips to show off something. You also have the option to do hands-free videos in a story. So usually when you're filming a video on Instagram, you have to be holding the record button on the video the entire time. But with a story, you can do a hands-free option. So you tap it and then you don't have to be touching your screen while you're recording, and then you tap it again to end it. So that's a nice addition in the stories. So there are a lot of options. Again, please feel free to play around with it while we're talking. Take a picture of something on your desk. Take a picture of your desk space. Take a picture of me on the screen, whatever suits you. Have fun with your posts. Oh, a little fast, how do you get to stories? Okay, so if you are, I'm actually going to pull up my phone. So this is my, it's struggling. So I've got my phone mirrored here so you can actually see it once it shows up. If I wanted to, I'm on Goosefoot's page right now. If I wanted to click on it, you can see right here, it's got the Goosefoot icon and it says your story. So if I click on that, boom, here's my story options. I have create, I have boomerang, I have layout, multi-capture, level, hands-free. If I didn't want to click on my icon, you can also swipe right. And again, opens the same tool. So swipe right or click on your logo in order to get it. I'm going to leave Instagram open. Push it out of the way a bit. So little fast. Did that help, Julie? A lot of the gestures on Instagram are so fast that you can just be like, wait, what? Hold on. What did you do? Hold on a second. Okay. So again, if you're on your home feed of Instagram, so you've got, again, and you can only do this on the app. Again, you cannot post from the desktop version. So this screen that is showing up right now, this is my cell phone, not my desktop computer. So on my cell phone, I can either tap the Goosefoot icon that's up here in the top that has my picture and it says your story. I can click on that in order to get into it, or I can swipe right on my screen. So drag it to the right and then boom, I'm into the story section. I think we've gotten a little stuck. Got it, good. All right. So that was perfect, by the way, Julie. If anybody has any questions like that, please feel free to ask them at any time. I'm here for you to help. So have fun with your posts. Instagram is a fun website. Social media is entertainment. Boring, really staid and stuffy. There are posts like that online and they do have some audiences, but for the most part, people are on Instagram to have fun and be a little silly. Don't be afraid to play with the filters. Filters are like color overlays they put on top of your pictures that make them look differently. Stickers, you could slap those on images to have fun. You could use text on top of images. You can post goofy pictures and videos, you know, your staff pulling faces or doing something silly. You know, some of our most popular content on Goosefoot is usually the office dogs. People love it. And make sure you have smiling people in your pictures. If people look miserable in your content, what does that say about your business? You know, have fun with it. Be fun. People want to be around the fun person. So why shouldn't that be you? So here's a couple example stories. This is from, what is that, Oriflame? Yeah, makeup company. As you can see, first story, we're launching 3 eyeshadow palettes. DM us your favorite. So there's your call to action of like, hey, let us know which one is your favorite. And then as you can, it's really hard to see on these and you might not have been able to see it very well when I had the example stories up earlier, but there are slight little breaks in the lines along the top that show you that they have multiple stories live at the moment. So this is their first story. Their second one, they have the first palette with somebody actually wearing it and the picture of the palette below. The second one, and then the third one. So nice, simple, easy to look at. Again, these automatically transition after 15 seconds. So don't put too much detail in the story because people aren't going to be able to see it. Another important thing to note, I don't know if I pointed out earlier. In fact, I don't think I did. Most Instagram content is pretty square. You can play with the aspect ratio a little bit nowadays. You can make things, you know, wider than they are tall or taller than they are wide, but largely Instagram favors square content, except in stories. In stories, they are vertical content. It should take up the entire screen of your phone. So your aspect ratio on stories is going to be different than your content for a regular post, which is why it's important to keep in mind what kind of content, how you're going to use the content before you actually set up your, or before you actually take the content. That way you're doing it in a way that is going to be helpful for you later, rather than trying to adjust something after the fact. Can't tell you how many times I get videos or content, pictures, anything like that from clients. And they're like, oh, post this on Facebook and Instagram. It's like, well, Instagram favors a square aspect ratio, but you have put words or important points of the picture on the very far sides. So now I can't fit it into a square picture. So keep in mind where you're going to use it when you're taking the pictures. Here's another one, Shopify. They put out an article. I only took 3 shots of this instead of every single one of the slides because that would have just been silly. But they, 5 best places in the world to start a business. That's interesting. I'm going to click through that and see what it is. And they had one single slide for each of the places. This one was Sydney, but there were 4 others. And then the very last slide, they're like, wondering why? Here's our URL to go check it out. If you are going to put URLs like that, again, that URL is not clickable, but it's a shortened URL. Bitly is a service you can use to shorten URLs pretty short. And it's, bit.ly/5 best places is really easy to remember and go type it in myself. To be able to customize it to that degree, you do have to pay Bitly. But even using the free Bitly, it'll turn it to bit.ly/5 or 7 numbers. So it does keep it pretty short. But there are a lot of tools to shorten URLs out there. So don't be afraid to use those. All right. Insights. Insights are incredibly important. They tell you what's working and what's not. They give you information on your audience and how they interact with you. So there's 3 separate tabs in the Insights tab. Insights are only available to business accounts. They are not available to individuals. This is one of the many reasons why I told you you need to convert your Instagram to a business account, because this tool will help you figure out when to post, what kind of stuff is doing well. And you cannot get this if you just have a regular Instagram account. So make sure you convert it to a business account. The activity tab covers the interactions with your account. So people finding your page, how many people are seeing your content, that's reach. Impressions are people actually like clicking on it or opening up the read more or leaving a comment. Content is when people actually engage with your posts. So this is the likes, this is the comments, this is the private messages. So this is what's telling you people are responding to this or people are not responding to this. Audience, in my opinion, especially when you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out the best way to use your content, audience is hugely important. It'll show you the location in general, not specific, like as in like United States or like what states. And what states and countries, not like, oh, this person is at this specific address. That's a little too specific, but it'll tell you pretty general locations. It'll tell you their ages, what is the average age of the people who follow your page, their gender breakdown between men and women. I think goosefoots are pretty much always more highly women for whatever reason. And then it'll show you their active times. So you can see when your audience is online, both days of the week and hours of the day. So it'll give you a really good upfront explanation on when the best time to post for you is, because that is a question I get pretty much every time I teach one of these workshops. When's the best time to post? And my answer is always, well, it depends. So following your data, figuring out when your audience is online and when they react to your content is incredibly important, because I can't give you that answer. All right. So I mentioned earlier that you cannot make Instagram posts from a desktop computer. Previously, that was completely true unless you used an outside tool like Buffer, Hootsuite, or something like that. However, things have changed recently. Last month in September, Facebook rolled out a new tool called the Facebook Business Suite. Now, it's been an app for a while on your phone, but that doesn't necessarily help you because you already could make Instagram posts from your app. However, in September, they rolled it out. They say for everybody, you might not have it just yet. If you don't, make sure, let me know. I'll give you tips on how to reach out to Facebook to ask for it. But this new Facebook Business Suite lets you make Facebook and Instagram posts from your desktop. So how do you get there, you might ask? We're going to head back to the internet. And we are going to go to business.facebook.com. I'll put this in the chat as well because it's very important for you guys to have it. Business.facebook.com. Previously, this would take you to the ads manager. If you have the Facebook business suite rolled out, it will give you that instead. Now, I'm not going to use the Goosefoot page as an example because I'm having issues with it giving me the correct permissions, but we're going to look for Bayview Corner. Bayview Corner is another page we run through Goosefoot, just to talk about the corner specifically. So right here, you can see I've got my Facebook and my Instagram account linked, which you have to have in order to do this. And then right here, I can create a post, I can create a story, or I can promote all from my desktop now. So if I click create post, I get this nice little pop-up window that I had in the screenshot previously. And I can choose, do I want this to go on Facebook or Instagram or both? I leave it on both most of the time. Text is where you can put the information. Let's see. I need you to go away. We're going to close this so that it'll not do that. I'm going to go steal the content from the Goosefoot Facebook page that I posted earlier because it needs to go up on the Bayview Corner page anyway. Please load. Oh, wait, I have it in another tab. There we go. All right, so I'm going to create a post. I'm going to add the photo first just so it doesn't mess up again. Work, Goosefoot. All right, you guys get to see all of my lovely files and files and files of stuff. There we go. So picked my image. Once it finishes uploading. And then here in this text box, I can post my content. For the Facebook version, and you can, so this is my content. You can see this is how it's going to look on the desktop newsfeed, on mobile newsfeed, on Instagram. So I can see how it's going to look there. And then you can actually customize it per site. So Facebook customization, I'm actually going to put the link in here because links do work on Facebook. It's goosefoot.org/planning. So we're going to link to this page on Facebook. I'm not going to put the link in on Instagram though, because links don't work very well on Instagram. So the link is in here on Facebook. That looks good to me. And then I can also set up a call to action if I want. And I can do a link preview, but I don't want to do a link preview. I want this image to stay. And then on Instagram, since I can't do the link as easily, instead, I am going to add hashtags, which I can do here. I'm also just going to type it into here. So again, I'm going to do Woodby Island, Woodby Life, Bayview, affordable housing, workforce housing, update, South Woodby. I can add whatever I want as a hashtag. Some of them are phrases, some of them are individual words, and then I hit publish. And now, once it is processing, and then you can go check the Bayview Corner Facebook page or Instagram, and that will still be there. So, like I said, this is the new way that you can post on Instagram from a desktop computer. You have to go to business.facebook.com. You cannot go to instagram.com to upload a post. The nice thing about that too is you can also schedule posts as well. So right here it said, we just want just so that it'll function properly. Right here I clicked publish, but you can also schedule posts, which is incredibly nice if you're like me and you don't have time to do social media posts every single day. You have other stuff you have to do for your business, but you could eke out a couple of hours on your slowest day of the week, say a Tuesday or whatever, and you can go ahead and schedule posts for the upcoming week or for a month or whatever you want to do. This is really nice if you have date sensitive things that have to go out at a specific time and you don't have, you're not sure you're actually going to have time to get in there and do it in a timely manner. So scheduling posts is incredibly nice, and this schedule does work on both Facebook and Instagram. So I really like the Facebook Business Suite. I've been using it since I found the app. I'm really happy they rolled it out on desktop. This really opens it up and makes it easier for everybody to use, because a lot of you guys take pictures on actual cameras or somebody else takes a picture for you, and it's really hard to get it on your phone to make the post. So now you can do it from your desktop and life is easier. So this is a new tool and I did go through it pretty quickly, but does anybody have questions about the Facebook Business Suite? We are going to take a brief 5-minute break. I'd really like for you guys to go to the bathroom, get some water or a snack, stand up and do some stretches, whatever you need. And then we'll come back 3 minutes after 2 and we will continue. I'll have some last words for you and then it'll be straight into pure Q&A, and I'll pull up some example small business Instagram accounts so you can kind of get some ideas on what works and what doesn't. So we'll take a quick break and we will be back here 3 or 4 minutes after 2. See you guys soon. Back, everybody. So I hope you have a good break and ready to get back into it. So some final words before we get into examples and answering Q&As. For Instagram to be successful, it needs time, consistency, authenticity, and quality. You will not be amazing at Instagram overnight. You need to give yourself time to practice, to try things, to figure out what works for you and your audience, and how to get that across, how to find your own voice on social media. So you need to give yourself permission and time to experiment and play and find out what works for you. The big organizations have, very high paid branding consultants to help them best capture their voice, but you don't. You just have yourself and, your own skills and determination. So give yourself time, give yourself permission to get it wrong and to improve. It takes authenticity to get anywhere on social media. People don't trust fake facades. We all know there's a little bit of fakeness on the internet, but we respond to real people and real situations. And you are a real person, so don't be afraid to let that shine online. And it does take quality. Now, again, it takes time to build up your skills, so don't stop yourself from posting just because you're not an award-winning photographer. You will get better at it as you go on, but I'm just begging you to slow down, take the time, really take the time to look at something and make sure your framing is okay. My background isn't perfect, but I did, before the class started, go through and clean up and remove some pillows and blankets that were just sort of sprawled in the background and made sure there wasn't any garbage sitting around. If I'm taking a picture on my desktop, I make sure to clear it off of other papers and junk before I take the picture. If I'm not getting the best lighting, I'll go outside and take it there. Speaking of lighting, if you are really starting out and you're struggling on how to get good lighting, your best bet is always going to be use natural light. You're going to get better shots outside than you are in most home situations. My lighting on these videos is pretty decent, but that's because I have gigantic studio lights sitting right over here that are very hot during the summer. You are not there yet, and that's okay. You're gonna get better pictures and videos if you step outside, even on a day like today, especially on a day like today, because it's overcast. that light is nice and diffused. So you're going to get better looking shots, even if the sky doesn't look that pretty. Really, you need to avoid harsh lights. High, midday is the worst time to take pictures because the light is coming from directly overhead and it makes everything look terrible. The best time of day to get outdoor shots is like early in the morning or early in the or late in the afternoon. But pretty much anything outside is going to be better than harsh indoor fluorescent lighting. Rule of thirds is really important. So composition tip, if you're taking a picture, divide your screen into thirds this way and this way. And if something falls on one of those lines, it's going to be visually more interesting than if everything is perfectly centered. As you can see with me in this video, my eyes are on the top third eye line wise. I didn't perfectly center my face in the frame because this is not as good to look at as this was. So I think I need to twist it down a little bit further. Take some time and play with the compositions of your shots. Try different angles, really get up in something. A lot of people will lazily take pictures and they think, oh, I can crop it later. But cropping is never going to look as good as if you physically got up in there. One of the most interesting shots I got from the Coupeville Arts and Crafts Festival this last August, and it was the one pretty much everybody who's looked through my portfolio has commented on, is a crowd walking by but there's bubbles in the foreground. You know how I got that shot? I was literally laying like sideways across the ground with my camera in order to get right up behind the bubble machine and get people walking by. I got so many funky looks, but it made for a great picture. Same as I went and borrowed a step ladder from another business, and I went and got in the middle of the walkway and I put the ladder up and I climbed on top and I was taking shots down the row. That looks a lot better than if I had just stood in the middle of it taking pictures. So, try different angles, get right up in the business. If you've ever watched a professional photographer work at a wedding, or if you come to our street dances and you see our photographer working, he will literally get in people's personal spaces to take those pictures, because that's how you get good pictures. Try things, be silly with it. And yes, one of the best ways you can get better pictures is if you get better equipment. A lot of phones nowadays, the quality of pictures they take is insane. My phone, I specifically bought it because it takes very good pictures, but it was also several $100s. If you have a newer, within the last 3 generations phone, you're probably fine with your camera. One of the marketing people I work with that works with a lot of businesses on this island. She's responsible for some of the social media posts we're going to look at today. All of her pictures are just taken with her phone, and that's fine. But if you have an older phone and you don't really have the budget to upgrade the phone, just go out and get a point and click digital camera, even $100 one, which is a lot cheaper than any decent phone you can buy. Even the $100 point and click camera will get better pictures than several $100 phones. So if you're looking for a way to up your game, getting better equipment is the fastest way to do that. But you also need to give yourself the time to develop the skills to get good at it. I don't want anybody in this class rushing out and buying the latest iPhone, because if you don't have the skills with the composition and the lighting and the angles, even that, $1,200 iPhone is not going to get you the quality shots. So you really need both. You absolutely can use mobile editing apps. Adobe's Lightroom, I believe, is free as an app. Or you can play with Instagram's features. You can crop things, edit them down, change colors, all sorts of different editing capabilities. Some apps make it incredibly easy. So feel free to poke around and find out what editing apps people are using by doing some Google searches. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it's too confusing, it's too hard to use, ditch it and pick another one. There's literally millions of editing apps out there. So fiddle with it and have fun and figure out what works for you. Oh, there we go. Captions do cut off after 140 characters until you read more. So you can have paragraphs long text, but only the first 140 characters show before it cuts off into a read more. That means your most important stuff needs to be in that 140 characters. It has to be enticing enough for somebody to click on the read more and get more information. But also, if there's something really important for people to know, put it in that first 140 characters, because then even if they don't click the read more, they will get the most important part of the information. I mentioned this during the analytics section, but there's no one best time to post. I can't tell you what that is. Know your audience. Post at different times, try different things, see what and when they respond. Keep an eye on those insights and see, what works and what doesn't. It's going to be different for everybody. Goosefoot even has different best time postings than Bayview Corner does, even though for all intents and purposes, it's basically the same organization. We have different audiences. So, I can't tell you when the best time to post is. You're going to have to find that out for yourself. And again, I think I've said this in a lot of different ways, but I'm really going to emphasize it. Try. Don't get intimidated. Nobody is a genius at this right off the bat. We all started somewhere. People are understanding. Don't let the fear that you're not the best stop you from trying. Try it, experiment, try different things, post different angles, post different kinds of pictures, post different content, see what works for you, what your audience responds to, what you enjoy posting. There's been plenty of times where my boss has asked me to post something, and in my head, I've been like, that's dumb. No one's going to like that. But I went ahead and did it, and it took off. I don't know everything. I don't know how people are going to react. I don't know what the algorithm is going to respond to. So you just got to try different things all the time. Make sure you're having fun with it. Social media is a social tool. People want to have fun. Nobody wants to spend their time with the grump in the corner that's being angry at everybody. Don't be that grump. Have fun with it. If you really hate it, find a way to either make it fun or, find someone else that can help you do it. But find a way to have fun with it and stick with it. I can't tell you how many small businesses start an Instagram feed, post a couple of times, and then it dies. Having a dead social media page is not great for you. So give yourself time to adjust to it, get used to it, work it into your daily schedule, find what works for you, find your voice. Give yourself permission to have that time, work it into your daily budget, because it is just as important to your business as the bookkeeping is. So stick with it. Don't give up really easily, really early. So I'm going to respond to some Q&As. Again, feel free to pop those either in Q&A or in the chat queue, and then we'll go look at some examples. So first off, Heidi asks, can you post an old Facebook post to Instagram? Not directly. Instagram has the option to post to Facebook, but Facebook does not have the option to post to Instagram. You can, however, easily take the picture and the text and copy and paste those and then put that on Instagram, but there's no button to post an old Facebook post onto Instagram. Just, copy the content like you saw me doing in the example. Any suggestions on following other people? Should we follow as many like-minded folks? Honestly, it's up to you. I'm a weird person. I like to stay on top of everything I follow. So I follow as many people as I feel like I can keep up with. And if I start to feel overwhelmed, I start unfollowing people. But I also know people who follow hundreds or thousands. There's really no limit to how many you can follow. And then you just sort of see whatever comes across your feed when you have time to look at it. I would recommend following other businesses, either businesses aspirational, like that you want to be like, either post-wise, or they're in the same industry as you and you want to, you want to get what they've got, or even just somebody that's in a completely different industry, but you like the way they post. Absolutely follow people for inspiration. Follow people who are physically around you, because again, a rising tide lifts all boats. If you promote them and you interact with them, they'll do the same to you. It'll help both of you equally. Follow as many people as works for you. But especially this early on stage, when you're still trying to figure out, get your legs under you and figure out what you're doing, I would follow as many people as you think you can handle. and so that you can figure out what's working on the site, what you like, what doesn't work for you, what works for other people. So you can get ideas both for the content and for your own, when to post and how to take pictures. I can't tell you how often I see somebody make a post and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I should do something similar for us. I think I use this in a lot of workshops, but amateurs imitate and professionals steal. All right. So again, please feel free to ask questions at any time. If you guys aren't comfortable with typing, that's fine. There's also a raise hand feature, and then I could unmute you so you could verbally ask the questions if you want to. Whatever works best for you. This is your time. I'm here to help you. So we do still have 43 minutes in the class. So like I said, I'll pull up some examples on Instagram that we can look at. But if you guys have questions at any point, please feel free to ask them. I'm happy to pull up either both the website or my phone again. Oops. Click the wrong thing. Oop. Okay. So we're going to look first at Instagram.com/fullcandles. Full Candles is an example I've been using for a while. I think her posts are a lot of fun. She does make the candles herself. As you can see, here's her nice short, sweet bio. Small batch, eco-friendly soy candles crafted in East Tennessee. Laura, owner, RA manager. Toby, shop mascot / branch supervisor / media mogul. Her content is a mix of the candles she does, but also her dog. There are a lot of pictures of her dog, and people love them. These posts are nice and simple. They've got pretty backgrounds. It's all very soothing, which is great for a candle company. And you've got the dog that has nothing to do with the candles, but it's part of her brand. And people love the dog. So, and she's got a mix of these just quotes with, simple white, black text. Her posts, as you can see, she's got a very distinct color story. She's very black and white. She doesn't have color, she doesn't change the pictures to black and white really. She just has pretty much all of her pictures follow that color palette of black and white. So these are very simple pictures. They're very nicely framed, and it pretty much almost perfectly alternates candle, dog, candle, dog, candle, dog, candle, phrase, candle, dog, candle, dog, like perfect alternating. I'm sure she has millions of pictures of her dog on her phone to get to. How does she get all the photos on one page? So this is actually her specific feed. This does it to anybody when you go into their feed. So when I'm on, I wish my control bar would go away. When you're on the main feed, it shows up like this, where it's all a row. But if you click on anybody's name and you actually go to their page specifically, it puts all of their posts in this, 3-column layout. So this is just what Instagram does for everybody on their specific page. It's just the feed where it turns it into one single row or column. So that's Full Candles. Nice, simple, basic. The captions aren't anything super interesting, super in-depth either. They're pretty simple. She's pretty good. She got, she uses 2 to 3 hashtags, so not a ton. There's some 5. The thing I like that she also does is she does image descriptions. This is something very, very easy you can do, but it is getting increasingly important online. It's an accessibility thing. So you are letting people who have vision impairments, people who are blind, people who can't see very well, Instagram can be difficult for them because they can't obviously see the picture. But when you add in an image description, their screen reader can read that to them so that they can know what it is. So I would absolutely recommend putting in an image description. It's a couple more seconds of your time. It's pretty easy, but something to consider. So yeah, there's Full Candles, nice, simple, basic, but very strong personality. You immediately get a sense of this brand before you get into it. All right, so next up, we're going to look at Letterfolk. Letterfolk does home decor. Again, husband and wife, small team, super short, nice, sweet description. They do use hashtags in the description, which is absolutely okay. And then they have their URL in the bio. I love these pictures. They're nice and simple. Really, the rugs are really what they do, the mats. But almost every single one of these has people in them. Putting people in your pictures is so important. We don't live in a world without people. And, yeah, most of the time it's just her feet, but it's still like, oh, there's a person there. It makes it easier to connect, a hand, more hands, something nice and simple. These are, these have got to be fun shots to set up on a tabletop or by their front door. Clearly this is not how their front door actually is. They don't have the way into the door blocked, but it's easy to put some stuff around the frame to make it visually more interesting. So don't be afraid to play with it like this. If your frame is looking a little plain when you go to take the picture, get little touches and details to add in there to make it more visually interesting and more fun. Put your feet in it or your hand, put real human beings into the position, because it's so much easier for us to project ourselves into a picture when there is a person to project ourselves on. So, don't be afraid to do these fun little, nice, simple little things. Next up, I'm going to look at Kotu Kitsch. That's a harder one to spell, so I'm going to copy and paste it. She does jewelry. I really wanted to show you guys this one because, these aren't these aren't pinnacle professional photography pictures. These are very clearly like her taking pictures of herself in most of these. Occasionally she'll have another model. Yeah, the framing could be better. There's a weird lens flare going on here, but instead of showing off her jewelry in really boring display cases or on racks they're very sterile and boring, she just puts them on a person. It brings more life into it. The pictures do a great job of showing off the jewelry despite whatever's happening with the lighting or layout. This is something, it doesn't matter what skill level you're at, just get out and take the pictures, have fun with it, show off your stuff, no matter what skill level you're in. That was a pretty cool transition. So go ahead and take the picture, give yourself time to experiment and learn, put people in the pictures. Go out and try different things, new angles, new lighting, new backdrops and locations. These aren't all the same picture over and over and over again. You can very clearly tell she is trying different stuff. So don't be afraid to do that with your own stuff as well. Okay. Next, we're going to look at Analog Coffee. This is one I just discovered yesterday. They are so much fun. This is they have a few different locations, so it's a chain. But they really, again, you can immediately tell the personality of the brand. There's people in it. They're smiling and having fun, even with masks on, showing life in the coffee shop, out and about with coffee, the pour. This picture I stared at so long yesterday. This is such a cool shot. I'm sure it was hell to get, and I hope this coffee isn't too hot because it is running down this person's hand. But this is such a cool shot. Here's a different angle, it's dynamically taking it, getting that attention. Again, here's a ton of hashtags that they're using, and they put it in a comment rather than the body of the text. But look, they got so much positive reaction, 203 likes. So, and they're telling stories, and pretty much all of their posts are asking questions. So they're engaging their audience. Is this one your favorite location? Are we your favorite study spot? Let us know in the comments below. Raise your hand. Are we going to see you this weekend? Do you like black coffee or espresso? So they're nice, simple, easy questions that engage the audience and get them to really interact with you. Well, the business page have the tags at the top for different things. I'm not sure what you mean, Julie. You mean like the hashtags? So again, you can put the hashtags wherever you want. They can be in the body of the post. They can be part of the regular flow of the post. They can be in a comment on their own. You can put, as you saw with the last one, you can put, I guess it was Letterfolk. You can put hashtags in the bio so that now this profile will show up entirely if somebody searches these hashtags. Community FAQs. Oh, do you mean like these? So these are cached stories. So as I said earlier, stories are things that go away within 24 hours. But you have the option to archive them when it is actually going to expire, and you can put them in different categories. You can set this all up. So they set up these images. So these are all past stories if I click on them. So here's the tile mats. They have one for FAQs. So any story they've ever put up about frequently asked questions, they can put in, what's the best way to clean my tile mat? Here's the answer. So these are stories they have run in the past, and then they archived it on their page. That is something you can do. I didn't talk about it today because it's a little past the basic level we were talking about, but yeah, so those little icons at the top are people's cached stories. They're archived stories. All right, let's look at some local examples. Bayview Farm and Garden. So this is run by that marketer I was talking about earlier, that all these pictures are just taken with her phone. But they're so engaging and they just draw you in. Like, I want to be sitting in every single one of these pictures. Some of them were stuff that was already set up, obviously, like the rain boot display, but I know her, and I know she takes the minute to, rotate the plants to get the best angle, to add a few more things in if you need it to fill out the frame a little bit better. This picture, I've seen it repeatedly, so I know this is one she's got on stock that she just uses about once a year. So it's okay to reuse content if you need to. They frame with this arch pretty regularly because it's a good, visual framing device. Same with the greenhouse. So it's okay to reuse content. It is okay, again, you get up close in a lot of these shots. The blur filter, this is something her phone is capable of doing, but you can also touch it up in editing as well. In fact, it looks like she sharpened this bit a little bit with the glow that's happening around it. So not minimal editing. These are just natural colors that exist. And this is Bayview Farm and Garden that's, right over here. So really fantastic tool to use. It's nice to see locals who are doing it right. And, follow the people who you like. This is a cool drone shot. And again, they've got little icons that visually break it up, but nice and simple, super short description. And then their URL. And you can see who else is following them, and that'll give you other people to follow as well. So I want to follow all of these people. You can also see all of their followers. So this is a great way to just get those interconnected networks, see who they're following, and follow people who are following them. You can see right here, they have 1,009 following. And so this is people that Bayview Farm and Garden chooses to follow. So you can follow any one of these as well. And you can also see if they're following any hashtags. They are not, that's fine. But if you go to like Bayview Corners, I'm only following 23. I should follow more people. So you can see which businesses and organizations I'm following on the Bayview Corner page and which hashtags I follow. You can see right here, I've got Bayview Cash Store. I'm following that because I want to see if anybody ever talks about us. So that is a great way to find more people to follow as well. My description is a little longer. It's not as formatted as theirs are, so different options. And lastly, we're going to look at somebody who does, in my opinion, they do fun right. If you are not following Would Be Donuts, you should be. They're very, very silly and very, very funny. Scott definitely has a very distinct personality, and it really comes through on theirs. current mood. When quarantine hit and they couldn't have the dining room opened anymore, they pretty much turned the dining room into a film studio so that they could make their own videos. And they got some very, very silly things. Scott loves to talk about his social media strategy. So again, feel free to ask him for advice, but they have fun. So it's a great way to just be silly. It doesn't always have to be about your food. I know they posted this because they watch Mean Girls in the kitchen constantly. So it's more of an inside joke for their staff. But it doesn't have to be about you all the time. You can just have silly fun with it, show people what's up and what's going on. So yeah, those are all the examples I had lined up. Does anybody have any other questions? Anything I can help you with? Again, I'm happy to pull up examples, talk to you about your specific page. We do have an Instagram advance that will be coming up in November. So we'll be talking more in depth there, but this is your guys' time. You are welcome to either head out early if you would like, or ask questions, whatever makes the most sense for you, whatever is the most helpful for you. So just let me know.